Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our interview today for intercultural perspective of organizations. I am Dris, and today my team member Tristan will join me to interview Han, a Vietnamese student, from which we've chosen to be our candidates to ask some of the questions about this for this paper's research. Han, can you introduce little bit about yourself?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Han. Currently, I'm a second year student at the University of Bogota, majoring in supply chain management. Today, I'm really happy to be here to share about the Vietnamese culture with our group here.
So we'll start by asking some questions that we've conducted for our interview. So Tristan, can you begin?
Yeah. Okay. So for the first question we have, we were just wondering what your values are and how has your cultural background shaped you. So of course this could include like your family, your community, or any traditions you might have.
Yeah. So, to answer your questions, I would say that I really value harmony in the relationships and respect for others, especially in how we communicate in our daily life. So, growing up in Vietnam, I was taught to always think about how my words affect others. So, being polite and considerate is really important to me, as my parents always reminded me not to cause troubles or embarrass others, especially in public settings. So these ideas come from Vietnamese traditions where maintaining peace and showing respect is seen as a reflection of good character. Yeah.
That's good to hear. Can you like also describe how cultural norms or customs like of Vietnam what impact does it have to guide you to your communication practices?
Yeah, so yes, in Vietnam, we often avoid being too direct, especially when discussing sensitive topics. So we use polite language and sometimes we say things in an indirect way to avoid hurting someone's feelings. And also, we pay a lot of attention to nonverbal communication, like facial expressions or tone of voice, and I also believe that respect should be shown to everyone, not just to elders or teachers. And even with friends, I always try to be respectful in how I speak and listen as well.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So continuing for our third question, we'd just like to know more about how your cultural upbringing has influenced the way you communicate with others. So maybe there's certain ways you prefer to express yourself. Maybe there's patterns in how you speak. Like, is there anything that you could think of?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think my cultural upbringing has made me more careful with words, like how I say it, the way I say it. So I tend to observe more before speaking, and I think a lot about what others might feel or might feel. For example, if someone shares an opinion that I don't agree with, I will usually just nod and maybe offer my thoughts in a gentle way later instead of disagreeing right away. And I think that's because my upbringing has taught me that preserving social harmony is more important than winning an argument. Yeah.
That's awesome. I agree with you on that. Like being a Vietnamese myself, I usually am more preserved on like how I state out my opinion. And do you also believe that cultural values can impact your preferences for like individualistic or collectivistic communication, like way of communications? If so, like in what ways do they affect that?
Hmm. Yeah, I absolutely. I feel more comfortable in collectivistic environment because I like working in groups and I believe that everyone should support each other. So even in class projects, I feel awkward if one person tries to take on the credit. In Vietnamese culture, we are taught to think about the group in terms of the we, not the just I, you know. So whether it's family, classmates, or co-workers, Yeah, and I think that also affects how we speak. We try to avoid confrontation because we don't want to damage the group's harmony.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet. So since we've got that part of the way, we're gonna kind of switch it up here. So let's talk about like conflict resolution now. So could you share how your cultural values or upbringing affect the way you usually deal with maybe disagreements or just any sort of conflict? So maybe this is in your personal life, at work, or even in social settings.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when there is conflict, I try to avoid direct confrontation, as I said, and I usually wait until the situation has cooled down or try to talk privately with the person. I believe that being too direct can make things worse, and especially if someone feels embarrassed or disrespected, and I always try to find a peaceful solution where both sides feel okay, and
Yep.
that reflects the value of respect and saving face, which is very important in my Vietnamese culture. Yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned that like some of the values that shaped that some of okay, sorry. So you mentioned that some of the values that you have are shaped by your Vietnamese custom. Like, is there a cultural milestone or symbol that you feel connected to that, like, kind of help to shape that value that you mentioned about?
Mm-hmm. Actually, yes, in Vietnamese culture, turning 12 years old is a special moment in life because it marks the completion of one full cycle of the 12 zodiac animals. It's seen as a sign of growing up and entering a new phase in life. And my parents gave me a small, I remember my parents gave me a small gift when I turned 12, and they said it means I had completed my first journey. And I think that cultural symbolism made me more aware of responsibility and how age connects with my personal growth. Yeah.
That's awesome. And that also concludes all of the questions that we have for you during this interview. We thank you a lot for attending us this time, and we hope you will have more journeys when you keep going on your life. Thank you for joining us
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. Thank you.